What's going on, brothers and sisters? Welcome back to the channel. And I know this is probably going to look a little bit strange. This is not typically the format that I do videos in, but I saw a video from PragerU that I had to share with you guys because the depravity of these people that are being interviewed is so shameless that you have to see this for yourself. Now, to pretext what's going on, the gentleman from PragerU is going around interviewing students as to why it's okay to be transgender, but it's not okay to be transracial. Now, let me make this very clear. Transgender means that you're changing your entire biology. Transracial is talking about you identify as a different race than what you are. So for example, if you are a white man who decides to identify as a black man, apparently there is a problem with this, but there is absolutely no problem with men pretending to be women. You have to see it for yourself. Check this out.
It looks like you lost another one.
So do you think identifying as a different race is offensive?
This is a very good question. I think, I don't know. You can't become something that is recognized off of skin color if you weren't that skin color your whole
Right,
life.
because it's biological.
Mm.
Do you think that people who claim transracial are making a mockery of real black people?
Yes. Yes.
How can you sit there and say that you cannot identify as a race that you've not been for your whole life, and then in the same token turn around and say, but you can be a completely different sex than what you were born and what you've been your entire life?
Okay, so now we're going to talk about woman face. Have you guys heard the term woman face?
No.
Have you heard this term? So this is men who identify as women and then they benefit socially and financially from many cases. Do you guys know Dylan Mulvaney?
No.
So he transitioned, and after he transitioned to a woman, he has millions of dollars in brand deals. You have Leah Thomas, who has William Thomas, ranked very low on the swimmer scoreboards. After transitioning, was #1 in the country.
It's supposed to be that you reap benefits for something you're not.
I think that is a completely different story. Being transgender is something where you can genuinely be born with different biological features or whatever, and that doesn't contribute to gender or like societal norms at all. I think those are two completely different things.
Is woman face offensive?
I don't think that's woman face. I think those are people who were born in the wrong bodies, who are becoming themselves.
So if you can identify with a different gender, why can't you identify with a different race?
The biological side of it, because race has no biological connections whatsoever. It's purely based off of physical appearances.
I just asked you if it was biological. You said yes.
Is recognized off of skin color if you weren't that skin color your whole
Right,
life.
because it's biological.
Or I mean, sex has biological backings, but gender is not. Gender is a spectrum.
Why is it?
Gender is a spectrum. So it's not okay to identify as a different race, which is literally only skin deep, but it is okay to identify as a different gender, which is literally your entire genetic code. This should scare the daylights out of you.
It's socially acceptable to be transgender, but it's not socially acceptable to be transracial.
I think that's like they're very different things. I think that like I don't know how to phrase this in a way, but I would say like is.
I wouldn't say I'm educated enough to have the proper definition of like separating the two.
But what about like how Rachel Dolezal, that she said that she was born in the wrong body, that she really is black? Why is that any different than being born in the wrong body and being a woman or a man?
I don't know how to explain it, but I know that it is.
And straight you
I feel like people, they have the freedom to do what they want.
Is that an endorsement of transracialism?
Kind of got me, huh?
Do you see the hypocrisy here?
I do see the hypocrisy, but I don't think the hypocrisy is like, I'm not trying, how do I phrase this?
Maybe it's like, if I want to be a dragon, I can just be a dragon
There
or
you
something.
go. There you go.
Why is it socially acceptable for people to identify as a different gender, but it's not socially acceptable for people to identify as a different race?
Uh-huh.
Well, I don't know. That's a great
you
question.
No, you
I
don't.
hear a lot of people on this campus today that say the black face is wrong, but the woman face is totally acceptable. Why is there a double standard for race and gender?
That I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either.
So of course, special shout out to the people that I love over at PragerU, man. They do amazing work. I'm going to go ahead and link the video down in the description below if you want to go ahead and check it out from start to finish. We watched pretty much the entire thing except for the outro. But of course, it wouldn't be a cross-unit video if I didn't go ahead and include how this ties into biblical scripture, brothers and sisters, and we're going to talk about it right now. From the book of Romans chapter 1 verses 27 and 28 goes as follows, ladies and gentlemen. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed shameful acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their error. Verse 28 goes on to say, furthermore, just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to a depraved mind, so that they do what ought not to be done. You see, ladies and gentlemen, when we're talking about God's most basic design, human beings are putting more importance on your skin color, which absolutely matters not to the content of your character, but absolutely disregarding the design that God made you as. People born as men trying to be women and vice versa. And more specifically, when they get into the meat and potatoes of it and they try to say, well, is it okay for a man to pretend to be a woman and then participate in women's sports and take away all the things from those women that they have worked so hard their entire lives to earn and achieve? I don't know, guys. You let me know what you think in the comments below. But as always, man, please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Always remember, guys, that tomorrow's not promised to anybody. Be safe, be good, be blessed. I'm going to see you guys when I see you. And remember, guys, Jesus is King.